guys, it's Jenna. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Last week, I showed you guys the books that I'm going to be reading in February, so if you haven't checked that out already, do so. I'll leave the link down below. But today, we're going to be talking about the books that I read in January. I read/listened to a total of 6 books in January, which is a pretty good start to 2023 and to my reading goal. I listened to 3 audiobooks and read 3 physical books, so there's a good half and half. So let's just get started. First, I have Looking for Alaska by John Green. You might have seen this book or read it or seen that it's a TV show on Hulu, but it's basically about a guy named Pudge who goes away to boarding school and makes some friends, you know, learns their lifestyle, learns the way of the people there, and then once him and his friends try to figure out what happened. So I really liked this book. I thought it was very well done. I obviously love John Green's writing style. The Fault in Our Stars is one of my favorites that I first read when I was getting into reading in middle school. And his stories are always really, really good. This one is a very good mix kind of a slight mystery, and then also it just being a contemporary and us following the lives of these high school guys and high school students, and also them just dealing with a tragic situation. So I really liked this book, would recommend. One of my favorite things about it was Alaska's character. Her dialogue was just really fun to read about, and her personality. It's a character I really like, especially in like TV shows and stuff, and I could definitely picture her and everything, and I just really liked her character, so yeah. And the next book that I read, or actually listened to, was Survive the Night by Riley Sager. You've definitely probably heard of this book if you're on BookTok or bookstagram or booktube, but this is about a girl named Charlie whose friend Maddie passes away, and actually it wasn't just her friend, she was her roommate. It's been this thing, it's a campus killer, I believe is what he was called. So this kind of crime and these deaths have happened a couple times already. And so she's obviously going through this, again, a traumatic situation and dealing with grieving over her friend's loss, or the loss of her friend. And she is going back home to see her parents and back to where she was from. And she gets a ride from this guy, and she's not very sure, she's not feeling good about him. She feels unsafe and has kind of a hitch that he might be the killer. So it takes place completely in the car in the span of, I can't remember how long, but not super long. And she's just trying to figure out, A, how to stay alive, and B, what is going on. So that is the premise of Survive the Night. And I really liked this book. Obviously, I listened to it on audiobook, so my experience reading it might be very different if I had read it physically. But nonetheless, I really, really enjoyed the story. And I actually don't usually do that well listening to stories on by audio, but I did fine with this one. And the writing style was really good. I could picture everything going on. And I was actually intrigued and paying attention to this story. So I really like this one, and I would recommend. And I do want to read another Riley Sager book, probably physically. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I feel like if I had physically read it, I'd have more to say about the characters themselves specifically and things like that. But nonetheless, the story was really interesting, so. And then the next book I read was The Zoo by Christopher Wilson. I got this one from a thrift store and never heard of it until stopping into the thrift store. But I buddy read this with my friend Rena, and it was actually a decent book. I gave it 3 stars. It's about this little boy. He's 12 years old, around there. His name is Yuri Zipit. And it takes place in the 50s. In the Soviet Union, and his dad is I don't remember the term, but he works with animals, and I think it's like zoo animals or something. But he is called to help assist the Soviet Union leader and with medical problems. And then the boy ends up working for the Soviet Union leader as well. So it just follows his time there, and I don't know, it was kind of interesting at times, but at the same time it's like, what's happening kind of thing. It was very good, like the way it ended was very good. There's a kind of mystery, I can't tell you what it is specifically, but there's kind of a mystery, not really like super in-depth, but there's something that kind of you don't know about until the end. And then the writing style is very weird and different. Nonetheless, it was not too bad of a book. I think I already said this, but I gave it 3 stars. I wouldn't say don't read it, but I also wouldn't say you need to pick this up right like immediately. It wasn't bad though. And then I finally listened to Happy People Are Annoying by Josh Peck. This is his memoir. I loved it so much. I really like Josh Peck. I don't watch him or follow him too much on anything, but I am a fan of his YouTube videos. I'm a fan of Drake and Josh. Yeah, it was really, really interesting to learn more about his past, how he became an actor, all the different things. He struggled with alcoholism, and he opens up about that in the books. And yeah, I don't know, it was just really interesting to read about his story, and I really enjoyed his story. So if that interests you, I would totally recommend. Even if you don't really know about Josh Peck or you're a fan of his, I would still read it. It's a phenomenal book, and the audiobook is just even better because Josh Peck's narrating is really good. So I would read, if you want to read a memoir, or if you're looking for a good audiobook. Memoirs are great. His is great. Yeah. And then right after that, I listened to The Office BFFs by Jenna Fisher and Angela, where did that come from? Angela Kinsley. And this was also really fun to read or listen to because, first of all, love the 2 actors, like separately, but also together, they're great. Also, The Office, like, come on. And their book was really fun to listen to on audio. Like, again, I just love celebrities who narrate their own memoirs, and their memoirs were really good. It was obviously more focused on The Office and little like behind the scenes tidbits and things like that, but they also go into details about themselves. And people have said it's not that amazing, like it's just like a Office BFFs podcast or the Office Ladies podcast. But I don't know, I really liked it, so I gave it, I think, 4 stars. Both Josh Peck's book and this one, 4 stars. So, very, very good books. And then the last book that I finished in January was Tuesdays with Maury by Mitch Albom. I'm doing this Rory Gilmore reading challenge, and I am reading a book a month from the Rory Gilmore reading list, and this is one of them. And that was actually really good. I'm really glad I read this. First of all, I've heard a lot about it ever since getting into college. And honestly, I would recommend this one to a lot of people. There's good life lessons in it. It's a really fast read. It's short, and it's short. Like, it's small, you know? And it's also just a really good writing style. I also listened to this on audio while reading, and I don't know, it was just really, really good. It also made me kind of emotional when Maury was passing away, or like when he passed away, which obviously we know he passed away because it's a real story, like we know he's dead now, but it was also really emotional, so, but it was really good, and it just makes you really feel something after reading it, so highly recommend. And there's a movie, so you can compare and contrast movie, book, you know. Yeah, those are all the books I finished in January, and I can tell you about some others that I started in January that I'm probably gonna end up finishing in February. So one of them is 3 Dark Crowns by Kendare Blake. I would say it kind of is slow and doesn't really pick up until a good chunk into it. But for being a not super into fantasy person, it's pretty good. And I'm really excited because I'm trying to get more into fantasy, and this is a good start. There's a lot of characters though, I will say. That is the only thing, is there's so many characters. It's kind of hard to keep track of. But there's resources. So if you're confused, there's resources. And then I'm listening to One Italian Summer by Rebecca narrated by Lauren Graham. I'm listening on audiobook because, of course, Lauren Graham, I love her audiobooks that she narrates. Pretty good so far, not loving it, but it's pretty good. It's probably gonna be like a 3-star. A lot of my books are 3 stars because a lot of them are just like, whatever, but they're not like, they don't stand out. And then books that I actually really do enjoy are 4 stars, and then the ones I love and devour are 5 stars. So, with that being said, actually, I am reading one of the books in my February TBR, which is The First to Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I talked about it last week, so I'm not going to go too in depth, but I am getting a good chunk into it already and loving it, so I'm excited. I'm doing a reading vlog for it, so stay tuned. It's spoiler filled, just so you know. That'll probably be coming next week. So that is everything I had on my January wrap up and the books I started in January, which you'll probably be hearing about in my February wrap up. And yeah, good month, good start of 2023. Let me know the books that you read. How many did you read? Any new favorites? Any ones that you would say stay away from? Let me know, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.